Watching Newsfeed AM, let's give you the markets update now, and the markets starting the month of December on a positive note. The JSE ending marginally higher on Friday, continuing with the momentum that saw the all-share index gaining 8.4% in November, though that performance came off a low base. Let's speak now to Simon Brown, JustOneLap founder, who joins us for a quick markets update. Simon, good morning to you. And it is a Monday, the start of a new week. Let's begin with the quick overview of how things are shaping up at the JSE.
Morning, Paul. You mentioned there we had a good Friday. The US had a good Friday. Asia was a bit flat, a bit of red this morning, but we've opened green. We've got the overall market up 0.1%, so modest gains. We've got a bit of red in the industrials, down literally a couple of points. Financials up a bit. Resources leading the way up almost 0.5%, and we'll get to why in a second. Currencies, dollar 18.69 against the dollar, sterling 23.68, and euro 20.29. 1 rand buys you a euro. On the commodity front, we got gold $2,095, all-time high. Hence, we're seeing good news in the gold miners flowing into the commodity stocks. Brent oil under pressure, 78.16. Platinum, $9.35 an ounce, and palladium just hanging on. It's $1,000.50 per ounce this morning.
All right. Well, things looking up, it would seem. Let's quickly launch into company news. Alexander Forbes, the interim results, including a cash dividend, has been declared. Talk us through their numbers.
A good set of numbers here. You mentioned the dividend, that's up a third to 20 cents from 15 cents. But there's a lot of moving parts here. But if we sort of cut through some of the one-offs and discontinueds and the like, what we see is they're picking up business. They're being sort of cutting out costs from the system, repositioning the brand more generally. They've made a couple of acquisitions during the year. As I said, a really good set of numbers in what is a very, very tough space. Long-term insurance, retirement products to a consumer who's under pressure is not an easy market. Best of times, particularly in 2023. And the stock responding well, trading 6% higher this morning.
All right. Well, let's talk Nampak publishing results for the year, which ended 30th September. How is their performance in the period under review?
A tough period for them, although truthfully they have been going through a restructuring process, and we can see some of that coming through. They're getting rid of operations. They did a capital raise during the period as well. They've had executive and senior management changes pretty much almost across the board at Nampak. And their Bevcan, which is their key business, they've been finding it a bit tougher. Plastics and paper working. One of the big hits to them was the Nigerian operation. They've got a canning business in Nigeria as well, but with the devaluation of the Naira from the middle of the year when they removed that peg, that cost them 1 billion rand in foreign gains, which essentially were paper profits appreciated, but those Nairas are now worth 1 billion rand less. It's a tough set of numbers, but if we're looking over the next couple of years for Nampak and the turnaround strategy that's in place, it's actually looking fairly good at this point. Stock trading about 1% down this morning in fairly light volume so far.
Well, let's conclude the conversation on that note of a very tough market environment. And after months of resisting increasingly negative economic circumstances, the new vehicle market, Simon, has finally buckled under the pressure. Give us a sense of how this sector has performed in the period, perhaps an overall sense?
Yeah, we've chatted over the course of this year. Vehicle sales have been surprisingly robust. I mean, not just flat. We've had periods, I'm thinking around mid-year, we actually saw a pickup in numbers. Helped in part, we need to remember the floods in eThekwini last April. That closed the Toyota Prospecton plant, so simply vehicles weren't available, and that then sort of pulled some sales forward to a degree. But what we saw for November, sales down 9.8%. And this really talks to a consumer under pressure and holding on to their cars for longer. But also talks to business under pressure. We saw commercial vehicles and the like also having some issues. It's just a tough place for new vehicles, particularly when cars typically last longer these days. We're looking like we're probably going to match our 2019 numbers, maybe a little bit below what we did in 2019, which all things considered, I think is probably not a bad number for the year. And I think most dealerships would be comfortable with that.
Yeah, tough situation. Simon Brown, let me thank you very much for that markets update. He is JustOneLap founder, giving us a quick overview of how things are shaping up for the week ahead.